What if the most powerful pharmacy ever assembled wasn't in a building? It was a garden. Not a modern garden. An ancient one. The kind described in the oldest book ever written, tended by people who had no hospitals, no pills, no synthetic chemicals, and yet healed wounds, fevers, infections, and broken bodies for thousands of years. I'm talking about a biblical medicine garden. And here's what almost nobody talks about. The plants mentioned in Scripture and used by ancient healers across the Middle East, Egypt, and the Holy Land. Modern science is now confirming they work. Not folktales. Not superstition. Actual peer-reviewed studies validating what God apparently put in the ground long before we thought to put it in a bottle. Today I'm going to show you exactly what to plant right now to build a biblical medicine garden that genuinely heals. Stick around because the plant I'm covering at number 8 is referenced in the Bible over 200 times and has documented antimicrobial effects that rival modern antiseptics. And the one I saved for last was used in ancient Egypt over 3,500 years ago for the exact same thing doctors use it for today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates. We post new videos every 2 days about real, empowered, self-sufficient living. Let's get into it. Plant 1. Hyssop. We start with the plant that appears more than any other in Scripture. Hyssop. Hyssopus officinalis. In Psalm 51, David writes, "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean." In Exodus, the Israelites used hyssop branches to apply the Passover blood to their doorposts. In John 19, hyssop was used at the crucifixion. This plant is woven through the entire biblical narrative, and for good reason. Hyssop was the disinfectant of the ancient world. The aromatic oils in the leaves, particularly thymol and carvacrol, have genuine antimicrobial properties. Modern studies confirm hyssop essential oil has activity against bacteria and fungi, including respiratory pathogens. Traditional use focused on respiratory problems, coughs, bronchitis, chest congestion. The volatile oils support bronchial clearance and fight infection at the same time. Here's how to use it. Brew the dried leaves and flowers as a tea for coughs and chest colds, or use the essential oil diluted as a topical antiseptic. It grows as a semi-evergreen shrubby herb with beautiful blue-purple flower spikes that bees absolutely love. It's drought-tolerant, thrives in poor rocky soil, and looks stunning in any garden. Plant it now in a sunny, well-drained spot, and it'll reward you for years. Hyssop is the plant that begins the Bible's healing story. It belongs in yours, too. Plant 2. Frankincense tree. When the Magi brought frankincense to Bethlehem, they weren't just bringing a perfume. They were bringing medicine. Boswellia sacra and related species produce a resin that has been used for thousands of years across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia for wound healing, inflammation, and respiratory conditions. And modern science has confirmed it in a way that is genuinely stunning. Boswellic acids, the active compounds in frankincense resin, are now among the most studied natural anti-inflammatory compounds in pharmacology. Clinical trials show significant improvement in osteoarthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, and asthma. The mechanism is specific. Boswellic acids inhibit a key enzyme in the inflammatory cascade without the stomach-damaging side effects of NSAIDs. Now, growing a full Boswellia tree requires a warm, arid climate, think zones 10 and 11. But you can grow it as a container plant and bring it indoors in colder climates. If you're in a warm climate, plant it now. If not, source the pure resin from reputable suppliers and use it as incense, infused oil, or powdered supplement. The gift brought to the Christ child was literally anti-inflammatory medicine. Think about that. Plant 3. Aloe vera. Aloe has been growing in biblical lands since before recorded history. Ancient Egyptians called it the plant of immortality and used it in burial preparations. It appears in ancient texts from Sumer, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. In John 19 verse 39, Nicodemus brings a mixture of myrrh and aloe for burial preparation because both were the most powerful preserving and healing substances available. And today, Aloe barbadensis is one of the most clinically validated healing plants on Earth. Studies show topical aloe gel accelerates burn healing, reduces skin inflammation, and promotes wound repair. The inner gel contains polysaccharides, enzymes, and compounds that soothe, hydrate, and actively encourage tissue regeneration. It's not folklore. It's biology. Plant aloe now in a container in well-draining soil. or directly in the ground if you're in zone 8 or warmer. Keep it near a sunny window if you're growing indoors. The practical use is immediate. Break a leaf. Apply the gel directly to burns, sunburns, cuts, insect bites, or inflamed skin. The plant requires almost no care and gives you a constant supply of living medicine. It's the plant the ancient Egyptians considered immortal, and once you grow it, you'll understand why. Plant 4. Garlic. In Numbers 11:5, the Israelites wandering in the desert remembered Egypt and mourned specifically for their garlic. They missed it that much. Why? Because in ancient Egypt, garlic wasn't just food, it was medicine. Workers who built the pyramids received garlic rations to maintain their strength and resist disease. Ancient Greek physicians prescribed it. Ancient Chinese texts describe it as a remedy, and the Hebrew slaves knew its value so deeply they grieved leaving it behind. Allium sativum contains allicin and related compounds that have documented antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral, and cardiovascular effects. Clinical trials show garlic supplementation lowers blood pressure, reduces LDL cholesterol, and shortens the duration of colds and respiratory infections. It's not one compound doing one thing. It's a complex chemistry that works on multiple systems simultaneously. Plant garlic now. Fall planting produces the best spring harvest. Push individual cloves 2 inches deep, 6 inches apart, in rich, well-drained soil. It overwinters quietly and emerges strong. Harvest when the lower leaves start to brown. Eat it fresh, ferment it as black garlic, infuse it in honey, or dry it for storage. The plant the Israelites couldn't stop thinking about has been healing humans for at least 5,000 years. Give it a bed in your garden, and it will earn its place every single season. Plant 5. Black seed. There is a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad, and while this reaches beyond the strictly biblical, it comes from the same ancient world, the same healing tradition that says black seed is a remedy for every disease except death. For 1,400 years, that statement was taken on faith. Now pharmacologists are scrambling to understand why it appears to be largely true. Nigella sativa, black seed or black cumin, contains an active compound called thymoquinone that has demonstrated anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antioxidant, and even anti-tumor effects in dozens of peer-reviewed studies. Clinical trials show benefits for asthma, blood pressure, blood sugar regulation, and immune function. The range of documented effects is so broad that researchers barely know where to start. The plant itself is strikingly beautiful feathery foliage, delicate blue-white flowers, and architectural seed pods. It grows as an annual, so plant seeds now in spring in full sun and well-drained soil. It self-seeds readily. Harvest the dried seed pods when they rattle, and you'll have your medicine for the year. Take a teaspoon of the seeds or the oil daily. The ancients knew. The studies confirm. Black seed belongs in every biblical medicine garden without exception. Plant 6. Fenugreek. Fenugreek seeds have been found in Egyptian tombs. They appear in ancient papyri as a treatment for fever, inflammation, and digestive problems. The Talmud references fenugreek as a food and medicine. Trigonella phenum graecum was used across the entire ancient world from Egypt to India, and the clinical evidence building around it today is remarkable. Modern studies show fenugreek seeds help lower blood sugar and insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, support milk production in nursing mothers, and improve testosterone levels in men. The seeds contain saponins and steroidal compounds that interact with hormone and metabolic systems. This isn't a simple herb. It's a complex botanical pharmacy in a small, maple-scented seed. Plant fenugreek seeds directly in the garden after last frost in full sun, or start them indoors now. They grow quickly as low annual plants and produce continuously. Use the fresh leaves as an herb. They taste like a combination of celery and fennel, or harvest, and dry the seeds for medicinal use. Steep seeds in hot water as tea for digestive complaints or blood sugar support. A plant from the tombs of pharaohs that still works exactly the same way it always has. Plant 7. Wormwood. Wormwood appears in Revelation, in Lamentations, in Proverbs, always as bitter truth, as consequence, as purification. Artemisia absinthium was the bitterest plant known to the ancient world, and its bitterness was understood as medicinal. The most bitter things heal the gut. The most uncomfortable medicines clear the parasites. There is deep, practical wisdom encoded in that symbolism. Wormwood contains artemisinin and absinthin compounds with documented antiparasitic, antimicrobial, and digestive stimulating effects. The drug artemisinin, derived from a related Artemisia species, is now the primary treatment for malaria worldwide and won a Nobel Prize in 2015. The ancient instinct toward wormwood for parasitic infections and fevers turns out to have been chemically justified. Plant wormwood now in full sun and poor, well-drained soil. It tolerates drought beautifully and grows into a stunning silver-gray mound. Use small amounts of the dried leaf tea for digestive sluggishness, bloating, or as a bitter tonic before meals to stimulate digestive secretions. Do not use during pregnancy, and keep internal use limited to short courses. This is a powerful plant. Treat it with respect, the way the ancients did, and it will serve you well. Plant 8. Thyme. Now this is the one I mentioned at the start. Thyme. Thymus vulgaris. Related to hyssop, interchangeable with it in some ancient traditions, and containing one of the most potent natural antimicrobials ever identified. Thymol, the active compound extracted from thyme, is literally the active ingredient in Listerine. Has been since the 1800s. The ancient world used it to preserve embalmed bodies and to fumigate sick rooms. They burned it in temples as purification. Modern studies confirm thymol has activity against bacteria, fungi, and some viruses. Clinical research shows thyme preparations are effective for acute bronchitis. European health authorities have formally approved thyme for respiratory tract infections. Compound after compound in thyme works on multiple infection pathways simultaneously, which is why pathogens don't develop resistance to it the way they do to single compound antibiotics. Plant thyme now from transplants or seeds in a sunny, well-drained spot. It thrives in poor soil, tolerates drought, and spreads into a fragrant carpet. Brew a strong thyme tea with honey and lemon for colds and respiratory infections, or use it as an antiseptic gargle. The herb that preserved the pharaohs and purified the temples is one of the easiest and most useful plants you will ever grow. Do not skip this one. If you're realizing right now that a biblical medicine garden isn't some mystical, complicated project, but actually just growing plants that have solid science behind them, plants you may have even walked past and never noticed, do me a favor and hit that like button. This kind of knowledge used to be passed down from generation to generation. The fact that we have to relearn it from scratch is actually kind of remarkable. Subscribe to Nature's Garden Vault if you haven't already, because this is exactly what we're about. Empowered, rooted, practical healing. Let's keep going. Plant 9. Pomegranate. Pomegranates appear all through scripture on the robes of the high priest, in the Song of Solomon, in the description of the Promised Land. Punica granatum was a symbol of life, fertility, and abundance in the ancient world. And modern science has confirmed that the ancients weren't wrong to treat it as something sacred. Pomegranate contains punicalagins and punicic acid, among the most potent antioxidant compounds ever measured in a fruit. Clinical studies show pomegranate juice reduces blood pressure, lowers LDL oxidation, fights inflammation, and has demonstrated activity against oral bacteria and certain pathogens. Some research suggests anti-tumor properties. For cardiovascular health alone, pomegranate extract is being studied more intensively than almost any other plant food. Pomegranate trees are surprisingly cold-hardy. Some varieties tolerate temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Plant in full sun with good drainage. In colder zones, grow in a large container and overwinter indoors. The flowers are spectacularly beautiful, blazing orange red, and the fruit is medicine you can eat. The high priest of ancient Israel wore pomegranates on his robe. It was that important. Plant 1. You won't regret it. Plant 10. Milk thistle. Here is a plant that grows wild in the rocky, disturbed soils of the Holy Land and has been used in the region for over 2,000 years. Silybum marinum milk thistle is one of the most clinically validated herbs in modern medicine for a specific and critically important organ, the liver. Silymarin, the active compound in milk thistle seeds, has been the subject of hundreds of clinical studies. It is used in conventional European medicine to treat liver damage from toxins, alcohol, and hepatitis. It protects liver cells from oxidative damage, stimulates regeneration of liver tissue, and reduces inflammation in the liver. This is not borderline evidence. This is solid, repeated, peer-reviewed clinical confirmation. Milk thistle grows easily from seed in full sun It actually thrives in neglect and poor soil. Plant seeds now by scattering them and barely covering with soil. The plant grows large and dramatic with beautiful purple thistle flowers and leaves marbled with white. Harvest the seed heads when they mature and dry them. Grind the seeds and add to smoothies, or use as an encapsulated supplement. Your liver processes everything: food, alcohol, medications, environmental toxins. Give it the plant that the ancient world and modern medicine both agree on. Plant 11, lavender. In Mark 14, a woman breaks an alabaster jar of expensive spikenard oil and pours it over Jesus. In John 12, the house is filled with the fragrance. Scholars debate exactly which plant Nardos referred to. Some say it was Nardosticus jatamansi, true spikenard from the Himalayas, but lavender and its closest relatives were part of the same aromatic healing tradition of the ancient world. Lavandula angustifolia has documented clinical effects on anxiety, sleep quality, and wound healing. A proprietary lavender oil preparation has been clinically approved in Germany for generalized anxiety disorder. Studies show lavender aromatherapy reduces cortisol levels, lowers heart rate, and improves sleep in multiple controlled trials. Topically, lavender oil has antimicrobial and wound-healing properties. Plant lavender now in full sun and well-drained, even chalky soil. It wants the rocky hillside conditions of the Mediterranean world it came from. Use the dried flowers in sachets for sleep. Brew a gentle tea for anxiety and headache. Apply diluted essential oil to wounds, burns, and insect bites. This is the fragrant oil of the ancient world, not just a scent, but a medicine that works on the nervous system in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. Plant 12, coriander. In Exodus 16 verse 31, the Israelites describe manna as being like coriander seed, white and sweet as honey. They knew exactly what coriander seed looked and tasted like. Coriandrum sativum was grown and used medicinally throughout the ancient Near East, Egypt, and the Mediterranean. Seeds have been found in Bronze Age archaeological sites and in Egyptian tombs. Coriander has documented carminative properties. It relieves gas, bloating, and digestive cramping. Studies show the essential oils have antimicrobial activity. Traditional use includes treatment of digestive complaints, anxiety, and inflammatory conditions. The fresh herb, what we call cilantro, contains compounds that may help chelate heavy metals from the body, which is an area of active research. Coriander is a fast, cool season annual. Plant seeds now directly in the garden. It bolts quickly in heat, so early spring or fall is ideal. Let some plants go to seed for a perpetual supply. Use the fresh leaves freely in cooking, as medicine as food. Grind the dried seeds for digestive tea or add whole to cooking. The plant mentioned in the same breath as the miraculous bread from heaven has been nourishing and healing people since before the Exodus. It still does. Plant 13, cedar of Lebanon. Leviticus describes cedar wood being used in purification rituals. Numbers prescribes it for cleansing from infection. The temple itself was built of Lebanese cedar. Cedrus libani was the most sacred and medicinally significant tree of the ancient Israelite world. The priests weren't using it randomly. They were using it because it worked. Cedar wood oil contains compounds with documented antimicrobial properties, particularly against skin pathogens and fungi. Research confirms cedar extract has activity that aligns with its traditional use as a purifying antiseptic agent. Cedarwood essential oil is used today in natural skincare for acne, oily skin, and fungal conditions. The timber's natural resistance to rot and insects comes from the same chemistry. True Cedrus libani is a large tree for large spaces, but it can be grown as a container tree or a beautiful landscape specimen in zones 5 to 9. Use cedarwood essential oil diluted in a carrier for skin infections, fungal conditions, or as an antiseptic wash. The tree that built Solomon's temple and purified ancient Israel still carries its healing chemistry. Plant one if you have the space. It will outlive you. That's the point. Plant 14, flax. Flax has been cultivated in the Holy Land since before the Bronze Age. Rahab hid the spies under stalks of flax drying on her roof. Egyptian mummies were wrapped in linen woven from flax. The plant that clothed the ancient world was also feeding and healing it. Linum usitatissimum seeds, flax seeds, are one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 fatty acid, and lignans, which have documented effects on hormone metabolism, cardiovascular health, and inflammation. Clinical trials show ground flaxseed reduces blood pressure, LDL cholesterol, and blood sugar. The lignans in flax have been studied for breast and prostate cancer prevention. This is serious clinical evidence for a plant people have grown for 10,000 years. Flax grows easily from seed as a cool season annual plant now in spring for beautiful blue flowers and medicinal seeds by summer. It's one of the most graceful garden plants, with slender stems and sky blue flowers that open in morning light. Grind the seeds fresh and add a tablespoon daily to smoothies or food. Whole seeds pass undigested, so grinding is essential for medicinal benefit. The plant that clothed civilization is still healing it. Plant 15, mandrake. And we come to the last plant on this list. The most mysterious, most storied, most layered in ancient history of any plant in Scripture. Mandrake. In Genesis 30, Rachel trades a night with Jacob to Leah in exchange for mandrakes her son Reuben found in the field. In Song of Solomon, the mandrakes give their fragrance. The ancient world understood mandrake as a plant of deep power, fertility, sleep, healing, and mystery. Mandragora officinarum contains tropane alkaloids, hyoscine, hyoscyamine, and related compounds that have genuine sedative, analgesic, and anticholinergic effects. These same compounds are used in modern medicine in purified form for anesthesia premedication, motion sickness, and irritable bowel syndrome. Ancient physicians used mandrake root as an anesthetic for surgery. They were right too. It works. A word of serious caution. Mandrake is a powerful medicinal plant that is toxic in high doses. All parts contain alkaloids that can cause hallucinations, delirium, and in large amounts, death. Historical and traditional use involved very small, carefully measured doses administered by trained healers. Grow it in your garden as a living historical artifact, as a connection to the oldest medicine in Scripture, but do not use it internally without expert guidance. Plant mandrake in a sheltered spot with deep, rich, well-drained soil in part shade. It produces rosette leaves, pale purple flowers, and yellow fruit that genuinely looks like small tomatoes. It's a remarkable plant to grow and observe. It represents the whole truth about biblical medicine, powerful, real, effective, and requiring the wisdom to use it properly. That is the final lesson of every plant on this list. The ancient healers weren't reckless. They weren't primitive. They were careful students of the natural world, passing down knowledge across thousands of years because it worked. We forgot it because convenience replaced wisdom. We're learning to remember. If this video changed the way you think about what belongs in your garden and what medicine actually means, smash that like button right now. It helps Nature's Garden Vault reach the people who are ready to stop depending entirely on pharmaceutical convenience and start growing real healing, the way it was grown for thousands of years. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these plants are you planting first? Are you starting with the easy ones, garlic, thyme, lavender, or going straight for the black seed and the milk thistle? I read every single comment, and I love knowing what you're growing. And if you are not yet subscribed to Nature's Garden Vault, click that button and ring the bell for more educative videos. The garden was always the pharmacy. We just forgot to use it.